Hey, you thinking about moving to Delaware and you just don't know where to start? Well, you're definitely not alone. I get people reaching out to me all the time saying, hey, I want to move to Delaware, but I kind of just don't know where to start. So in this video, I'm actually going to go over some of the steps you should be taking that'll make your move to Delaware a whole lot easier. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Windom, and I help people buy and sell homes here in Delaware. I've lived here my entire life, and on this channel, I talk about what it's like living here in Delaware. And if you're thinking about potentially buying or selling here in Delaware, I love to have a conversation. So I'll put my info here on screen now and again in the description below. So the very first thing you should do when relocating to Delaware is research. So what I would do is that I would hop on youtube.com, and then in the search bar, I would type Brandon Windom, and then I would click on a channel with a guy whose face kind of looks like mine. And then I would actually watch every single video he has, and I would think to myself, wow, this is a lot of stuff here. And it's almost everything I need on moving to Delaware. And then because of that, what I would do would reach out to him and just work with him. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Or am I? But yeah, the first thing you're definitely going to want to do is research. And I know that's kind of a broad term, so let me break it down a little bit for you. So the first thing I recommend you figure out is what's important to you. So do you want to be closer to our neighboring states such as New York, New Jersey, Maryland, or Pennsylvania, because you still have a job and you're going to have to commute every day? Or do you want to be close to those neighboring states just because you have family there and you want to go back and visit? Another thing is, where are the good school districts at, because potentially you have kids? Checking out crime rates or statistics, because obviously you want to be safe to wherever you move at. How close is the nearest Target or Starbucks, because you know you're going to need that chai latte in order to get through the day. Honestly, I would just make a list and just put down all the things that are important to me that I would want to find in my next home here in Delaware. So after you got that all figured out and you got your list all there and ready, the next thing you're going to want to do is figure out your timeline. So it's going to be, when exactly do I want to make that move here to Delaware? And is there any, extenuating factors that might be holding me back or that I might need to take care of before I can actually move to Delaware? So what I mean about those extenuating factors are, do you have a house that you need to sell in the state you're currently in? Are your kids currently in school and you want to wait till the summer so you don't have to pull them out and put them in a new school district? Or maybe you're currently renting and your lease isn't up till December. These are all things you're definitely going to want to figure out so you know exactly what your timeline is on moving to Delaware. So now that you kind of know what area you're looking in and what's important to you, and now you have a timeline, the next thing that you should do is probably go out and find a realtor. So once you find said realtor, this will be the point where you can potentially ask some of those questions maybe you couldn't find during your research, or maybe get some clarity on some things that were a little bit confusing or didn't quite make sense when you were doing that research. And this is actually going to be the point in the process where you actually start to see the overall plan and things actually start to feel real and actually come together. So once you do start talking to that real estate agent, you'll be able to give him a list of all those things that you've done in your research, such as what is important to you and what you're looking for, so that it helps both of you guys out. So he'll know or she'll know exactly that, hey, I need a basement because I want a movie theater or I want a home gym. So the next step you would do after finding your realtor would usually be find your lender. More than likely, when talking to your realtor, you guys are going to get to the point where you're talking about budgets or what you want to spend. And once you get to that point, more than likely, your realtor is going to recommend a local lender. And this will help both you and your realtor out, because once you get pre-approved through that local lender, they're going to give you a budget of what exactly you qualify for. And also that lender is going to be able to tell you, depending on what you qualify for and what you tell them, what that mortgage is going to look like. And with the current rates that we're having now, you're definitely going to want to know that number, because you may have something in your mind like, hey, I don't want to spend more than $1,500. And, back a couple years ago when rates were 3%, you could go ahead and get a $400,000 or $500,000 loan and spend no more than, $1,500 or $1,800. But right now, that's not the case. And you're definitely going to want to know that up front. And I'm saying it's super important to talk to a lender and actually get those numbers, because I can't tell you how many times I've had people reach out to me and they heard that Delaware is cheap. So they call me and say, hey, Brandon, I want a 4-bedroom house on over an acre right next to the beach, and I don't want my mortgage to be any more than $1,200 a month. And when they say that, I kind of just give them a look of, yeah, me too. But it's not very realistic, and that's where your realtor and your lender are going to be able to tell you what is actually realistic for what you're looking for. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, Brandon, I don't need a mortgage because I'm paying straight cash money. Well, excuse me, money bags. Now you may not need a mortgage, but it still might be helpful for you to actually go over some sort of budget or what you're looking to spend anyway, even if you don't need to get a mortgage. Now that you have your realtor, your budget, and your criteria, the next step is to come on down and to just schedule a trip to Delaware so you can get around Delaware and actually explore and feel those areas firsthand. Also, once you get to Delaware, this is going to be a time where you're probably going to start touring the homes that fit that criteria that you and your realtor talked about. Now, while you can do online tours or do a tour virtually or have your realtor FaceTime you, it's kind of like an Impossible Burger. It's okay, but it's just not as good as the real thing. Nothing is going to really substitute for you coming out to Delaware and actually exploring Delaware, looking at the areas, maybe talking to the locals and just seeing what it's like out here. Nothing's going to be able to substitute physically coming to Delaware, so you're definitely going to need to make that trip and take the time out of your schedule to actually come to Delaware and tour it. Now all that's left once you get to Delaware and start touring homes is to just bring it all to the finish line. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the whole home buying process. I did make a video on the channel talking about what it's like to buy a house step by step, and you can watch that if you like. But for this video, let's just assume that we went out, toured homes, and we found you the perfect home, and now we're under contract. So all there's left now is just the logistical side of it all. Basically, you need to figure out how much time you're going to need moving from wherever you're at to get to Delaware. Now, just for some context, the traditional real estate transaction in Delaware takes about 30 to 45 days. Now, that can differ if you maybe do new construction or you have like a rent back or you have a house to sell or anything like that. And that'll be something you talk with your realtor about and you'll know beforehand before you get under contract. So typically it's going to take 30 to 45 days and you're just going to want to work backwards from there and just figure out, how much time you need to get everything done in order to get to Delaware. So do I need to sell a bunch of stuff because I'm downsizing and all the stuff I have in my current home won't fit? Do I need to hire movers? Do I need to coordinate my new job? There's a bunch of different factors that, you're going to know that you went over earlier in your timeline, so you'll know exactly what you need to do. But basically that's just going to consist of all the super duper extra super fun stuff that comes with moving. Now, if you couldn't tell, I was being sarcastic. The actual process of packing up all your stuff and physically unloading and loading it onto trucks or whatever you're gonna do is absolutely horrible. And that's why I hire movers to do all that stuff. And because it can be especially a pain if you're moving into like a city like Wilmington. And actually, speaking of Wilmington, I actually did a video speaking about some of the pros and cons of Wilmington, and I'll put that video right here.